Tracy. Okay, we are starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, good morning, and thank you for joining us on MCI TV. My name is Tracy Tendo. I'm reporting live from Jeffrey Hotel in Makere, where the fellows from the MCI Fellowship Program have been for the last 3 days. They came in on 3rd of March, and it will be a 1-week fellowship program in residence. As you can see, I am joined by one of the fellows that has been part of this experience. Good morning, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
What's your name?
Hanari Naitu.
And you are part of the 5th cohort, right?
Yes, I am.
How has been the experience so far?
The experience has been amazing with lots of new ideas to learn, skills, networking. So it's been an amazing experience.
Awesome, awesome. I just want to have another view from, a gentleman. Good morning, how are you?
I'm okay, how are you?
How's been your experience?
My experience has been good so far. We've been learning a lot, and I do hope to learn more, yes.
Awesome, awesome. Tell me what some of your expectations will be, especially in today's, session when we look at understanding and reporting of social justice here in Uganda.
Okay, basically what I expect to learn how we deal with minority groups, for example, the women, people in the villages, and 2, I also expect to learn that how we as journalists can become activists.
Amazing, amazing. You've heard it from members of the 5th cohort of the fellowship program. Well, for those of you that are just joining us and you do not understand what this is about, well, MCI's fellowship program seeks to, equip the next generation of journalists here in Africa. And as you can see in this training program, it is a 1-week in residence training. We've been here, and I'm actually joined by yet another colleague of mine who's reporting from the East Wing of the Jeffrey Hotel. Hello, Chiviri, can you hear me?
Yes, Tracy, good morning. How was your night?
My night was fantastic. I hope you're doing great.
Yes, I'm doing great, and I'm here on the East Wing of the boardroom of Jeffrey Hotel where the fellows are, and they're getting ready for the next session.
Amazing, amazing. Just a quick recap of what actually happened yesterday. Great, amazing, and insightful, conversations were had. We had the experience from Mr. Raymond Mujuni being one of the facilitators. Tell me what your highlight was from this experience.
My highlight was yesterday. These people had plays here in the middle of the boardroom, and what caught my attention was the eye contact. People were told to contact their fellows, and everyone was like, people were excited, so it was very interesting.
Very interesting games for sure. I think for me the highlight should have been, when we starting, and I saw the fellows doing visual representations of what their visions will be during this fellowship, and part of the expectations. Very interesting cartoons, you could say.
I know.
Did you have an opportunity to draw a cartoon yourself?
Yes, I had an opportunity, but trust me, I'm not an artist.
We hope you had a better understanding of what this is about. But actually, yesterday, the very fellows had the opportunity to actually go for an event after the morning session, and this was organized by CAS, and of course, a talk about the revision of Russia, especially in the conflict with Ukraine. Very interesting. I saw a couple of fellows get part of the conversations. Were you able to attend this particular event?
Yes, I was able to be there, and I also had to know more about Russia and Ukraine conflict.
Amazing. Well, now, Chivili, I'll let you, transition to the next part of the show.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Now, yesterday, the show started with a session from Mr. Raymond Mujuni, and he talked about the future of journalism. And he said that with time, digital media is going to be raising traditional media, let me say the newspapers. And I will pose a question to the fellows. Do you think digital media will erase traditional media? Let me have an interview with some of the fellows. I will talk to Meme Letitia. Fellow Meme Letitia, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? Do you think digital media will erase traditional media?
I think digital media shall surely erase traditional media because a number of people today are using smartphones, and hence they get news online other than just buying newspapers.
Thank you very much, fellow Meme Letitia. Now let me talk to fellow Ijo David. Fellow Ijo David, good morning.
Good morning, Chair.
I'm fine. Do you think digital media will erase traditional media?
I don't think it will erase. It has only outdistanced traditional media. That digital media is now the trend, but I don't think it will fully erase it out.
Thank you very much. Those are the opinions from the fellows. Now, this fellowship is going to run for 6 days, and today they are going to be having a session about media gone wrong by Mr. Lutaya. Now, let me take you to the studio where Feli is waiting for you for the news at dusk.
Thank you so much, Tendo and Chivir. My name is Akulu Lydia Feli. Now moving on, Raymond Mujuni urged young journalists to elaborate ideas to the seniors in the journalism field so that they will be heard irrespective of the age bracket and little experience they might have. In another news, the Conrad Avenue Stiftang Uganda South Sudan organized an afternoon discussion on the topic security, on the topic Russian revolution, on the topic Russia revolution, on the topic Russia revolution, a threat to the international security. This discussion took place on Friday, 4th March 2022 at the Cass Gardens on 51A Prince Charles Drive, Kololo, Kampala, with Niels Womer, Head of Department, International Politics and Security Affairs, being the discussant. According to him, Europe miscalculated Putin's move and Russia thought Ukrainians would accept defeat in a few hours of war. In a comment from General Mugisha Muntu, former Ugandan presidential candidate, he was very certain Russia will not win this war. He said a country wins not because of weapons, but the cause and spirit of the people. Now, the Russian invasion of Ukraine has been the talk of the town for a couple of weeks now. Today, in the Dusk show, we shall be having Caleb and Gloria have a discussion on this particular topic. To Studio B, Caleb and Gloria.
Thank you very much, Feli. It was really amazing. I know it's very interesting. As I was having my ride to the hotel last time,
Yes.
one of my border men was actually giving me a conversation on how Russia, in quotes, Russia,
Yes.
was
Yes.
was going to bomb Uganda in very few moments or weeks.
Yes.
And it's very interesting how very many Ugandans think that this particular issue is quite far away from the reality.
Yes.
And today our discussion is going to be bordered on the fact that Ugandans are actually impacted. And the question is, how is an ordinary Ugandan actually affected by the issues happening in Russia?
That's
and
true,
Ukraine?
Caleb. This thing, we as Ugandans, we may be in the country, but many people do not know what is happening, and they think this is far away from us, but that's not right. Because, East African countries, including Uganda, we do import from foreign countries. So this is going to affect us all, starting from the fuel prices to the border guys, and now us all. This is going to affect that. It is going to be really a hard thing for us, and the economy is going to be affected. I can assure you of that.
Definitely. And one of the things that were actually very interesting for me to yesterday at the event is that very many Ugandans feel like they do not understand this because they do not relate with it. And maybe just put it in short context. Imagine Kasese wanted to disclose itself from the Republic of Uganda.
True that.
And 31 years later, the government of Uganda realizes that, this was a very big mistake. And because of the liberal democracy they're having, we want to actually bring it back. Because this came as
someone said, it was like a historical mistake.
Exactly. Yes. So later on, Russia realizes that, having let go of Ukraine in the very first place was actually a mistake.
Yes.
And now that Ukraine is making its independent decisions, Putin, the president of Russia, sees that it is not fit And because we see that he has an old Soviet ideology that he wants to still implement,
Yes.
even in Ukraine, even though it's not his boundaries.
Yes.
And it's said that those are one of the reasons why he actually wanted to go and encroach into the boundaries of
They
Ukraine.
actually called them little
Russians.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So what happens and how it actually affects a Ugandan? If at any particular point the war actually happens,
Yes.
one thing for sure, they're going to ask us, where do your alliances lie as Uganda? And so far in the General Assembly, we voted to be neutral. But with escalating issues, we
There
will
are
need
going
to
to
actually
be
take
sides.
exactly.
Yes.
And once we take a side, one thing for sure is we're either fighting for or against.
Yes, true that.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's a very interesting. All we can do is pray and hope that what happens in the next week or in the next 3 days, because today is day 10 in this particular conflict, what happens will basically try to resuscitate and bring back the conflict back to possibly diplomacy so that we can actually settle the conflict.
Yesterday, as we were at CAS, General Mugisha Muntu said something that this war is not going to be successful on the side of Russia. And for me, that gave me some strength that those people do not have the spirit and they do not have the cause. So weapons are not going to work for them, really. Yes.
Anyway, guys, for you that are watching, all we're asking you to do is go to the comment section and tell us, do you think this will be successful for Russia? Remember, it has nuclear power and it could actually do lots of things because it has lots of arsenal. It has invested over 700 billion in the last decade. So what we're going to do currently, we have a guest in studio with us. And the question that we're having is, what role has media played in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine? Yes, hello, Annika. Hello, how are you doing? Yes, so kindly elaborate to us, what role has media in general, all across the world, played in the Russia-Ukraine conflict?
Yeah, thank you for your question. As we know, the media is extremely important in influencing how people around the world think about the conflict in both countries and in the rest of the world. So it's extremely important for the media to report factual and non-sensationalistic reports so as not to incite more violence. There's a very big problem, though, with disinformation, misinformation, and even media censorship around the world. For example, in Russia, journalists have been banned from basically reporting critical media. They have to toe the state line or they risk being arrested. And this is very dangerous because it influences how people in that country may think about the war and then the actions that they take. So I think that it's also very important for journalists not only to report on the day-to-day battles, but really to investigate the history and the broader context and the implications of taking different actions. Nobody wants World War III, and we have to play a role in really preventing that.
Yesterday, someone noted that we should learn from the history and actually be able to determine what our future looks like. Do you think the media in Uganda, in particular, in Africa, has equipped the citizens with the needed information to actually brace us for this particular conflict? Because, like we mentioned earlier, very many Ugandans think this is far away from home. They cannot relate with the fact that there's war somewhere else and it's going to affect Africans. Because when you look at the distance from Africa, or Uganda in particular, from Uganda to Russia, it's very far away from home. But do you think the media here at home has done its work to actually inform and educate us and actually just really prepare us for what is going to happen in case something happens?
I think yes and no, but it can be better. We're seeing it right now as a conflict between two nations, but really when you consider like the broader ramifications of this conflict, it could end up affecting everyone in the entire world. So it's really important that even the media, as of today, starts looking at those possible implications and reporting on them and advising, if we take this course of action, it may lead to this. If we take this course of action, it may lead to this, and this will be the impacts on Ugandans. That's very important even at this early stage.
All right. Thank you, Annika Martins, for those amazing insights. And Caleb, you've heard right from Annika that the media has played a big role, and still we have some big role to play because this is day 10 and still the war is escalating. So we have a role to play.
Yes, and it's very interesting, especially for the fellows that are here at the Media Challenge Fellowship. It's very easy to think that the things that are happening in the world will not affect us, but you see, as much as globalization is actually a very good thing, the fact that today something that is happening in Russia actually affects us, our economy, the way of life, that very many people are actually going into fear and wondering, is this World War III? And for very many people, they think it's actually a joke.
Yes.
Your border guy is going to tell you that, man, don't worry about it.
Remember, since 1945, we've been
in peace.
Peace.
Yeah.
Peace all around the world. And now...
It's scary.
Yes.
One of the things that actually happened was Trevor Noah, a comedian, was actually having a conversation on his show, and was saying that today the media has portrayed this particular conflict as a shocker, that most of the wars that have been happening in Africa. But now that we see chaos in the countries that are actually trying to foster peace, it's a little bit scary. And then he was blaming journalists and storytellers for painting this particular conflict as it's supposed to be Africans fighting. And it's a shocker that now we're having it in European countries.
Yes, Caleb, away from that, we are going to have sports news. I can see Richard around the studio. So, which sports team do you support, by the way?
I support Bunamoya FC.
Oh my goodness. Richard, good morning. Yes. What is trending in the country?
Of sports activities going to take place all over the world, and I will start with the English Premier League. A lot of matches are going to be played tonight. We have Leicester City versus Leeds United, Burnley versus Chelsea, Aston Villa, Southampton, Norwich, Brentford, Newcastle, Brighton, and then Wolves, Crystal Palace. And finally, will the Reds be able to tighten the gap between them and the Citizens while taking on West Ham United at Anfield Stadium? So with local sports, local sports news, we have the final of the Great Masaza Cup going to take place at St. Mary's Stadium, Chitend, where Voodoo will be playing against Wekula. There will be a first match of Maokota against Bulemezi at 12 p.m., which are those two teams will be struggling to take the third position of the tournament. The key thing to note is that the occasion will be graced by His Highness the Kabaka of Buganda, Ronald Muwenda Mutebi II, and only time is yet to tell whether the big boys from Masaka will be able to secure this trophy the second time, and as Wekula is struggling to secure it the first time. Yeah, that's what we had for you in sports updates, unless otherwise you're having anything to tell me, but that's all.
Thank you so much, Richard, for that brilliant report.
Yes.
I actually hope Liverpool wins.
Yeah, the Reds will win.
Thank you so much. The Dusk Show, we bring you politics, we bring you sports, and many others you wouldn't want to miss. So please follow us on our Facebook, Media Fellowship UG, Instagram, Media Fellowship UG, and Facebook, Media Challenge Fellowship UG. See you same time tomorrow. Thank you.